We've made it to the third unit of ATS 113, and we're about to start learning about the general circulation of the atmosphere, which is the topic of Chapter 8. I want you to read pages 212 through 223, but I'm going to highlight some sections that are much more important and some that you can skip. You'll be glad that you watched the reading coach because that's where you're going to find out what pages you don't need to worry about. Alright, so this is the section about general circulation, and I like the introduction to this chapter because it gives you a sense as to what we mean by general circulation and how this is different from climatology. Okay, now we're going to talk actually about two different models, two different conceptual ideas as to how the atmosphere works, what the atmosphere is doing with its general circulation. But we'll be able to quickly dismiss this idea of the single cell model for the more accurate three-cell model. And so you're going to be learning about, and I really like this picture here that I have double highlighted, although there's better pictures on your CD, and we'll draw better pictures in the lecture. You're going to be watching for terms like I have highlighted in green here about the Hadley cell and the Farrell cell. You're going to learn about all kinds of details actually about the Hadley cell, like its intertropical convergence zone and the trade winds and the subtropical highs and the horse latitudes. These are all very prominent features of the general circulation of the atmosphere. Okay, then you're going to learn about the polar cells and the polar front and the polar jet stream and so on. Again, all these concepts are very, very important. And I like this summary that I have boxed here in red that kind of says, and how much does the real atmosphere actually look like this model, this three-cell model that we have drawn? And it kind of explains ways in which the atmosphere does and doesn't look quite like this. Now, starting at the bottom of page 216, why don't you go ahead and cross that out? You don't need to worry about that. Or really any of the stuff on page 217. Or any of the stuff on page 218. Or any of the stuff on 219. Aren't you glad that you read the check with the reading coach before you actually read all this stuff? Of course, maybe you wouldn't have read it at all, but anyway, so you can skip all that. And down until about halfway through page 220, where we're going to be reading about the upper atmosphere. And you're going to be learning, I'm sorry, the upper troposphere. And you're going to be learning about the forces that are at work and how the general circulation works in the upper troposphere. In particular, we're going to be paying attention to this idea of why there are westerly winds in the upper troposphere. In other words, why there are jet streams. And this is the concept of the thermal wind relationship. Now, I don't think your book actually uses that term, but that's the term that you're going to find a PowerPoint presentation on your CD about it. You're going to find a video about it. There's lots of important stuff on here about the thermal wind relationship. It's a key concept in introductory meteorology. And it's what gives rise to your polar jet and your polar, mainly your polar jet stream, but there's also a subtropical jet stream. And so you're going to want to get these ideas down that are highlighted here in red as well on page 222. And then you're going to end on page 223 by reading just these two paragraphs here about troughs and ridges. This isn't the first time we've seen troughs and ridges, but you're going to now be understanding them in a more of a context of the general circulation. Okay, I hope that helped. This has been Dr. John Schrage, copyright 2006.